prepare. Oh, shike. Sorry. I have to do all the settings here to tell it to believe me. Believe me, please. All right, and now go live. We are now live streaming on Facebook.
Trust me.
The American Constitutional Republic. Affairs of state in Oklahoma. The beliefs, principles, opinions, and views of people like you. This is 3D Politics. Featuring creator and editor of Sooner Politics, expert on Oklahoma state government, professional advocate for mental health care, state committeeman for Tulsa GOP, David Vann. Also featuring David Oldham, founder and scholar of Constitutional Grounds, political leader, educational speaker, former state of Oklahoma elector, United States Electoral College, David Oldham. And, of course, your host sounds a lot like the announcer, director and host, Tommy McKay, your comedian, political humorist, father of five, and former Tulsa mayoral candidate, Tommy McKay. Oh, there we are, kids. So let's see if we can bring in David Vann. We're going to see if we can beam him in with a clean transporter. Let's see what he's got.
Smooth.
Oh, look, he's already there. And so we'll also beam in David Oldham. This is very tricky stuff, and Scotty is in the Jeffers tube. How do I get rid of that big, giant cube? Oh, my God. It was tough, wasn't it?
Evidently, you make it look
There
tough.
it is, my God. It's my job. It's my freaking job. Oh, sorry.
All right. All right.
Oh, everybody's here, and I am seeing Van only.
I see Oldham.
It's going to gallery.
He's got new digs.
It's okay. Wow. Everything changed on me. How you guys doing today? How about that for a send-up, huh? You ever been introed like that before?
I couldn't see the intro, so how would I know?
I feel like I'm still in the transporter room. I can hear the sounds.
Hey, we got a big, fat show. We're going to start off with Tommy's Twitter tirade, which is always exciting for Tommy. And, of course, the Oklahoma restaurant decision is still looming. We got a social media meltdown and the data of destruction. We're going to show a chart tonight. Excellent information showing the crushing of Parler out there. The electoral collapse is another thing we'll talk about. We're going to take a big break with a George Carlin clip at the hard break at the half hour again. And then Oldham is going to hit us up with his eyewitness account of the D.C. mayhem and special guest with an extended version tonight, Ken Reddick, former
It's his fault.
candidate.
It's Oldham's fault.
Well, everything's
They
Oldham's.
called out the guard because of Oldham.
At 8 o'clock, typically we shut her down at 8-ish, but tonight we've got a special extended version. Ken Reddick was also in D.C. on the same night. We're going to have two eyewitness accounts right here on 3D Politics, and I, of course, am your verbal Viking, Tommy McKay, your fine host. Anything before we get started, guys? We've got a lot to do tonight.
I'm excited to watch show prep get better than this.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. That hurt.
Well, I apologize because I wasn't a part of it because
Well, it's
I
not
was
your fault,
busy.
Oldham. Jeez, it's not your fault.
Hey,
do you
Tommy,
like Do you like my new digs?
I do.
Well, the digs are huge. We're gonna have to fix your background, though.
Oh yeah, well we're getting there, but hey, I have a fact now, at least to fix.
Oh,
So,
I've seen it. I'm looking forward to that Pine Derby zip line contest. Everybody knows about that.
All right.
Okay, well, listen, we've got a lot of stuff to do, so I've got to get everybody knows I've got to get all my stuff out of the way first before we get to the real business. So I'm going to share my first Twitter tirade. This one has to do, I realize that the, let's see if I can find it. No, not that one. Let's see if this one is it. Oh God, no. I knew this was trouble the minute it started.
Some things just cannot be unseen once you've seen them.
Exactly.
Let's see if this is it. No, God, this isn't it. The problem here we have today. We'll just here. Look, watch this. Oh gosh, I love that one too. Here's the deal. The 6 foot is a good distance to protect mask mandate citizen tyrants because I can barely hit them from there.
Okay.
So here's the deal. What I've realized is that the Cherokee tribe ranks 5th in being civilized where masks are concerned. If you go out to the Hard Rock, I mean, they will run you down on the way in and on the way out. And I actually had to use both excuses last time. The only reason I'm standing here is because you haven't seated me yet. And no, I can't wear a mask because I have a health issue. Oh, so you're disabled? Yeah, okay, fine. I'm disabled as hell. Whatever you want to call it, can't wear the mask. And then and I said, I need you to just step back also because you're way too close to me.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, you disregard your first rule to step up to me to tell me to wear a mask. And then she says, well, and you're prepared to tell, I said, you need to go ahead and call the governor because I said, I know there is a health exception. And then she says, and you're prepared to tell me what it is? And I said, no, there's HIPAA laws that keep me from telling you what it is. So you guys got your all self-boxed in. Not only is there a health exclusion, but also I can't tell you what my exclusion is.
Tom, last April, Mayor Bynum said we have to take a citizen's word of honor on that and not badger them to tell you all their health history.
All right. So anyway,
Bynum said that. How's that for citing?
I missed my first. I missed my other setup, but here's the one. Deborah Gist. Here she is. She thinks she's also a comedian, where she says there must. And I'm responding to her with my little picture here. She says that. There must be massive investment in security at the Capitol. Our elected officials deserve to be safe. Of course, this is January 8th from Deborah Gist responding to the stuff at the Capitol that we'll talk about tonight. Alternately, she says, there could be drills multiple times a year where Congress practices hiding under desks. I have some third graders who can help with those plans. This is Deborah Gist, the school superintendent, Tulsa School District Superintendent, and she thinks in her mind, now I'm a professional comedian, her on the other hand pretends to be a comedian, and I actually teach children. She on the other hand pretends to teach children, but she says here, I have some third graders who can help with those plans to have senators and members of Congress hide under desks. She thinks she's mocking the congressman when really she's mocking the third graders. But also, I found myself retweeting my own picture all the time. Notice how Deborah Gist has the same playbook as all three of these, Ilhan Omar, OAC, and Priestley. She is the head of the the OEA, Oklahoma Education.
Tom, do you want to drill down a little bit on that about the idea of hiding under desks or under seats of Congress? Mark Wayne Mullen weighed in on that.
Oh, no. What did he say?
Mark Wayne said that the Capitol security came into Congress in the House of Representatives and told them all, get down on the floor. And Mark Wayne yelled, no, do not. When there is a mob, you will be trampled if you are on the floor. The getting under your desk is for a gunman on the loose. Gunman, not a mob. Different thing.
My God.
This is the problem when you've got amateurs who think because they're Dr. Deborah Gist that they know more, and they don't.
Well, I'd almost rather be pinned down by Dr. Deborah Gist than Dr. Dart. So that's just me. All right,
Shoot,
all right.
that went over my head.
That's a
okay.
bad way, any which way you go. I'm sorry.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, so
So-
this is real stuff here, though. This is actual stuff here. All right, let's see. And now I want to make sure this isn't in the way. Okay, now here is a deal. This Phil Magnus or Magnus, whatever it is, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but this is something that he is out there replying on Twitterville. He says a periodic reminder that the epidemiology team at Johns Hopkins has published a report in September 2019 stating outright that lockdowns don't work
Correct.
for highly transmissible respiratory viruses. This was a mainstream epidemiological consensus only 1 year ago. What changed? And so you'll notice here up in the blue highlighted area, quarantine measures will be least effective for pathogens that are highly transmissible, have short incubation periods, and spread through true airborne mechanisms as opposed to droplets. As with the travel restrictions, quarantine appears to delay the introduction of highly transmissible diseases, but not prevent their spread entirely. So the question that Phil Magnus was asking was, why is it that they have changed how it is that they work with highly transmissible diseases? In fact, they did the same thing. They've changed how they allocate what is a flu virus, etc., just about a year ago.
Yeah. Tom, I want to drill down a little bit on that. It's true that if you enact the most tyrannical, the most absolute draconian lockdowns, then they work. Okay.
Right.
Pictures of Wuhan residents having their doors welded shut with them in it. Okay. So it can work, but just not in a society that has any civil liberties.
Well,
at all.
I always make the distinction is that, totalitarian control is not science. I mean, just because I could, make me dictator for a year and I'll wipe out all the crime in Oklahoma. I mean,
Right.
well, it's not what we're talking about, Tom.
Yeah.
Of course it's not what you're talking about, because it's all about control and really it's selective outrage and selective control.
Yeah.
They
And-
love to get outraged about some and then not.
Tom,
the other.
let me just throw the COVID update in here with that while we're in it. I've looked at the reports from this last week again, as I do once a week. Our doubling rate has not gotten more condensed. That's good news. In fact, it's slightly less condensed. It was, about 50 days. Now it's about 51 days that it doubles. So,
Okay.
but the part of our demographic that we're doing the most successful job in preventing from getting sick, the ones we're locking down the most, happens to be our grade school kids. And grade school kids are getting it less than any other demographic. The most transmitted demographic is the 18 to 35, which makes sense. They are the most socially interacting demographic.
Right.
But the kids in school that are institutionalized normally, we're doing the best job of keeping them from getting it, and we're just giving it to the people most likely to die from it instead of the kids.
Well, are we doing such a great job, or is it just that they don't have the proclivity to catch it?
I'm looking at
And
it.
how do we know the difference? Because it's all a guess. That's the point.
Yes. And that's a good point. There is a bit of it could be this, could be that. Is it a chicken or the egg? The fact is, given that kids up through 18 are 1/3 of our population of Oklahoma, but only 12% of the cases.
Right.
So, that just goes to show you, yes, maybe they don't get it, or maybe those are the ones who should be getting it, and we're not letting them get it. Unlike Sweden, who said, no, kids, young people, go ahead, get it. It's not going to hurt you.
That's right.
statistically.
It's intermittent, and we can chase our. If you're chasing viruses, you're hurting cats. Hey, you guys are still listening to 3D Politics every Monday night right here live on Facebook. Tommy McKay, your fine host, your verbal Viking, along with David Van, creator and editor of Suno Politics, and David Oldham, founder and scholar at constitutionalgrounds.com. We do this every Monday night. And don't forget, at 8 o'clock tonight, special extended version. We got Ken Reddick, former Tulsa mayoral candidate, coming up to talk about his personal eyewitness account, along to corroborate Oldham's eyewitness account right there at the D.C. Mayhem coming up later in the show. One more tire. I know you guys, I got to get it out of my system. Otherwise, I just can't get over it. Here is my last tirade that I want to share. And this has to do with James Lankford and Kelly Loeffler. And so my point, to just absolutely kick over the jar, open up the chimenea, and break open the can of worms, James Lankford and Kelly Loeffler. Two good reasons why women perhaps shouldn't be allowed to vote. I mean, if you are going to put your foot down and make a big ass deal about, I'm going to object to the blah, 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 and then one pop grenade goes off, you're like, I changed my mind. And it's not like they said, hey, I changed my mind based on some reasonable thing. No, both of them were like, and after the violence, then I changed my mind. Is that the kind of men you want leading the country? Is that the kind of man you want protecting your cave, ladies? Is a guy that says, I'll protect you against any dinosaur, and the minute something goes, roar, he goes, honey, we've got to run. Mommy.
Well, they're not good Spaniards, because, you know, remember when
There's a comedian now, Deborah Gist.
bombing, and then they all caved in the big elections that year in 2005 or 2003.
Baker Mayfield's tougher than that.
But I spoke with a bunch of people while I was in DC and had a good conversation with a congressman's chief of staff, somebody that Rhonda and I have known for years. Rhonda more than me.
Right.
And so we got in, we spoke with him and got his congressman's perspective on things. And it was a different perspective. And so I can understand sort of where they come from. I don't like that their morality is subject to the immorality of other people. So in other words, it was good beforehand, but now, because of a few of the 500,000 or however many people were there who were actually abiding lawfully and weren't inside the Capitol and mobbing and all of that, that all of a sudden their morality is going to change and they're going to get indignant and do something completely different. That was more a couple hours ago.
Van, what do you know?
Well, yeah, and before we get too far into that, that basically is letting the media direct the agenda and what your position is, and it's it's slavish devotion to the media and wanting to be accepted by them.
At the very least, because it's emotional reaction. That's my thing about the whole. You're going to put your foot down and say, I believe I'm going to vote for something, and then there's a big fat fight, and then you're like, oh, I changed my mind because there was conflict. Well, you're the last person I want in my foxhole. Okay.
Hey, constitutional
myself.
No, constitutional law is dependent upon pop culture and popularity within the media. Don't you know? It was okay to argue constitutional about electoral integrity until you had some bad press. Then we got to throw it away.
Right. And the next time one of these Loeffler or Lankford says, oh, I'll stand up for something, I'm like, bull crap. Because the minute if the door creaks or somebody steps or something goes bump in the night, you'll jump off the bandwagon immediately.
It's
little cowards. It's
you don't have to worry about I was going to say, you don't have to worry about Kelly Loeffler anymore.
You know me, Oldham. I'll never.
He lost according to the fair elections of Georgia that, abide by
Yeah.
all the rules.
All right.
Well, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not one to let things go, so I'll still worry.
You want to get into the social media thing next, Tom? Or
Real quick, I want to touch on this thing that's still looming. And Van, I know you got your finger on the pulse, but Governor Stitt's COVID-19 curfew on Oklahoma
Yes.
bars, restaurants still can't be enforced. Judge
That's right.
rules. This is according to the Oklahoman. Josh Dulaney and David Dishman had to work together to come up with this story. January 9th, 2021, but Susan Stallings extended a temporary restraining order against Governor Kevin Stitt in the state on Friday following evidentiary hearing. I just
Right.
know when I can use the word evidentiary. The case involved a challenge over the enforcement of Stitt's executive order that prohibited serving bar and restaurant customers after 11, which I thought it, anyway. Stitt issued the order in an attempt to help stem the spread of COVID-19, if that is your real name. So anyway, we're still wondering, right?
yes, we are. And Frank had said Friday after the hearings, he said executive order is not law, at least not in this context. It's not law. Unless these restaurants were actually employees of the governor, he doesn't have unilateral power to order what they do.
What you,
And
I
now,
don't go ahead.
strategically,
Because if you have a contract with the federal government, then your company is under duress of the governmental law, even though you're technically a private company. If
Only insofar as you interact with the government.
and that you
Right.
want
You are interacting on your own. No, not at all.
well,
No, but I'm
Oldham,
saying-
an example might be if there was at the governor's mansion a cafeteria for the visitors, and you had a contract with them, and he said, "Oh yeah, by the way, we're going to shut down 11 p.m. at night." I mean, that's kind of a weird, unthinkable, unreasonable thing.
What government can do to run their business, but
Right.
they can't dictate that you have to quit working at 11 o'clock.
Right.
You can
Yeah.
go to another
Okay.
job and go 24 hours.
Okay, good news in this, guys. Not only when this was filed, it got the initial court date, it got the injunction. Okay. Then, when they didn't make their deadline to have their hearing on December 30th, the judge extended the injunction. Then she had the hearing last Friday, and she said, "We'll get back. Let me ponder this." And again, I'm extending the injunction. Now, the wrap up I read from the reporters that were in the court, the governor's office looked pathetic. They had no defense. Abel looked pathetic. And I mean, listen, when you got the liberal TV stations in Oklahoma City talking about how pathetic it is, believe me, they
Well,
would be
let's-
covered in
hey,
pathetic.
Pathetic.
Let's say it like it is, boys. I mean, the Abel Commission looked like they'd had too much to drink.
There you go. There you go. And so here's what I want to say today. I said, listen, if Monday morning this ruling comes out and they're all told to get back to court, it might not be good. But the fact that it's taking a little while, that means there's an adjudication that's going to have some ramifications, and a good judge has to dot the I's and cross the T's on this. Okay? Because
Oldham's not convinced whatsoever.
It's because they're playing with the precedent, because that's really what matters.
Well,
it's not about the
come on.
Constitution.
no.
Two cynics against
Hold up.
one.
When you're saying this was done wrong, a good judge might need to say, here's the area where it's done wrong. Here's the area that I might be willing to listen to something, an argument, or say,
here's the area where it was done wrong. It's a curfew. You don't have authority.
I got that. But what I'm saying here is,
Seems simple somehow.
yeah, you could just say, again, like you're saying, Oldham, but because this may be a precedent-setting ruling, then a judge wants to be sure that the opinion that they give when they make the ruling is good, sound arguments.
I know.
Hey,
it's such simple stuff that they put so much weight in presidents and all of that. It's ridiculous.
Again, all of the injunctions against enforcing it are out of the way, so she can take a little time on this to make sure we get the precedent right. Okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, the big thing is it's so simple. It's a nothing judgment. It's so out of bounds simple.
Let me give you an example, Oldham.
Hey, it's not outside the line. It's easy.
Oldham, she could throw out the entire statute involving state, emergency management act. She could throw that out as vague, and I could see where she'd want to.
She should throw out all curfews.
There you go.
All forced closures.
And again, and the more you do, the broader you go
for a year.
The broader you sweep with this broom, the more you got to spell this out, and then your ruling gets bigger.
I don't think so, but that's because again, Constitution says what it says. It's time that we keep things simple and just I wish that everybody would just look at it as simply as it actually is.
Well,
hey, let me just say
that I don't discount what you're saying. You are correct from their perspective.
Well,
they've got to do it all this way.
Well, what I'm saying, and I could be reading you all wrong, Oldham. It came across to me as though it was almost insulting or belittling of the judge, and she has certain responsibilities.
That sounded right. Yeah.
Well, then I'm going to disagree with you here.
Oh.
When a judge is setting precedent, that judge has to do that job very carefully.
No. Well, and that's where the difference between you and I comes in. There's no precedent. The precedent is the Constitution. Finally upholding it, that's the precedent. It's not about, we need to explain this and that, other than to educate people about what the Constitution
earlier Van said something about, any good judge. And this is also, Oldham keeps talking about how simple it is. And the fact is, things that are profound and simple are oftentimes difficult to grasp in their simplicity. And it's like a good judge is like a good wife. They're hard to find. You usually got to divorce one before you get a really good one.
I just want to say, so far, this judge has done nothing
wrong. A lot
wrong.
of work to get there, guys. Took a lot of work.
I am not critical of the judge in where she has gone with the case. That is correct.
Good.
The problem is in the legitimizing of the illegal, unconstitutional laws that have gotten us here to this place in the first place. And they just need to be slammed. It's illegal. It's unconstitutional based on X, Y, or Z. The Fourth and Fifth Amendments. Done. Enough said. Move on. Okay. And that's all you have to do. To educate everybody else, you have to write some. But
what I'm saying is this may be very good news for you that it's taking longer, because every domino she knocks down, she has to state, here's why that gets knocked down. And here's why that gets knocked down.
Hey, I hope that's where we're going, because usually when they take so long, it's because they're trying to play the precedence dance, and they're trying to uphold as much as they can, even though it's illegal.
Hey, we're a non-secular group of optimists, and I'm glad to be one of us. Van, we've got like two.
You optimistic cynic, you.
Read some Nietzsche and cheer up. The chart showing the crushing of Parler. Let's get to that data, because we've got a couple of minutes before the break. It's a hard break.
There's no way I can do this in 2 minutes.
Oh, we can do it in 2 minutes. Trust me.
All right. Okay, well, I got to set this up. Folks, Twitter, Facebook, those are the big boys when it comes to social media right now, okay? There's other players, Instagram, whatever, TikTok. But the thing is, you've got a bunch of oligarchs. You've got Amazon, Apple, Google, Facebook, and Twitter are the big five, right?
Right.
Parler's coming around because Parler said, you know what, folks, you don't need to put up with their suppression of your free speech. All right. So now everybody's saying we're out of here, especially now that they've all kicked Donald Trump, President of the United States, off of all the big social media.
Right. Now, remember, he's the dictator. Hold on. Remember, he's the dictator, but anyway, go ahead.
Right. So Parler says, okay, we'll take you. Millions, tens of millions signed up this weekend. So here comes Apple. And Amazon. Yeah, Apple, first of all, says, you know what? We don't like that you're not following our same censoring guidelines.
Right.
So we're not going to make your app available on iPhones. Google says, oh, yeah, us too. You're not going to be able to put your apps in our app store for Android phones, the two biggest systems worldwide.
Okay.
All right. So then they take that off. And then
Van, set us up because we're not going to get, you're
right.
We're
and
not
then the last straw.
When we come back, we're going to get to this chart. Tell them what it's going to be.
We're going to show you just why it's so difficult for Parler now to get back online. They're dead right now. They're dead until they get another mega server.
Wow. Okay. As you can tell, me and these guys have the ability to compress all this information into some exciting stuff. I'm going to put you in the waiting room. And this is fun. These guys let me put them in the waiting room. You guys are listening once again to 3D Politics featuring David Van and David Oldham with your host, your verbal Viking, Tommy McKay, and David Van. Now, Van, I've taken you out. Are you able to share?
Tom, I can't share if I got kicked out.
I just kicked you out. I was just testing you to see if you knew how this worked. All right, now, Van, you're going to have to... You have to share that Carlin bit to take us through the hard part.
Yeah, I had it shared. Just a second.
Okay. Don't have any idea what's going on.
All of a sudden, I was booted. I thought, oh, my God.
We're just kind of like Apple. We're working this through.
Folks, George Carlin has something to say about the nuttiness of the current pandemic. All right.